Are you right?
I'm ready to go.
Okay, let's see where this goes.
Okay. Right and low. Yeah, that was good. 2 targets low, 1 target right. That dust is about 3 miles an hour, left to right.
It was like right on it.
Yeah.
40 minutes holdover, I wasn't far off, was I?
That's pretty good, mate. Right. Good height. 2 o'clock. 2 target, or 1.5 targets right.
I didn't try and correct for the right.
Okay.
I just corrected my height. Just seeing how much where it actually went.
Oh, just off right edge of plate. 2 o'clock, dust. Just off the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, bottom right corner, dust. Just off the edge of plate. Bottom left corner, sorry, left
I
corner.
just held it. I held left on that.
Okay. Hit! Top right corner. Got him.
Oh.
2 inches top right corner from the edge of plate.
Okay.
No sign of anyone anywhere.
Right.
Quite, no sign of anyone anywhere. It's quite quiet, isn't it?
Okay, so let's see what we got.
Okay, ready to go. Did not see. Plate clean. Left. Just off left edge of plate. Dust behind target. Hit. Beautiful. Center of target. Got him. Hey.
Oh, that's a nice backup, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah. Nice in the center. Good shot, mate.
Awesome. Okay, well, that's my data filled in for that shot. Today we were out actually testing this rifle. I just made a little modification to it, just a little bit of tweaking, put a different butt stock on it, raised it up so it's in line. Gun shot very, very well, don't get me wrong, but it's a little feature I wanted to actually adjust and get to perfect. And we set up a target out there, we'll verify it. I'll just do the beginning end of it. We've already ranged it, but just so you can see it for yourselves, I'll zero it here. We'll let it find itself. By the way, we've actually tested this system. It's nice and simple. We've got Garmin. We use a little Garmin unit. We've got a Google Maps, Google Earth, that sort of stuff to verify these to make sure those systems work fine, and we're happy. They're within sort of in this area here within sort of the 2 to 3 meters of accuracy, which works fine for what we're doing, but that worked really well. So anyway, we'll range that down at target so you can see. What I actually wanted to go through today, I wanted to test that. That's actually out at 2,700 yards or a little bit over. But was also to go through some of the questions I get about how is it we can get so close on target straight away, and how is it in the ELR stuff or the ultra range stuff, whichever you want to call this, a 7mm out at over 2,700 yards. How's that work in the way of the difficulty that it can be to do this sort of shooting, and why is it so easy for us? Well, it's not so easy for us to start off with, but there are some ingredients that make it easier. Obviously the terrain you've got, what you can shoot in, to that really matters. The feedback from the ground, having nice clean paddocks is a lot easier than having a small patch of dirt to shoot at, absolutely. But the truth is that it is actually about a couple of different features that really make things work very well. One is obviously a very accurate shooting rifle is certainly an important detail. But in actual fact, even with a rifle that shoots really well, unless everything else in your platform and your systems is working, it's still incredibly hard to try and pull off the extreme range shooting. And people have actually tried it. Well, they'll be able to tell you that when you go out there and you actually pull that trigger and you're shooting at 2,000, 3,000 more yards or meters, in whichever distance or terminology you want to use, you can have days where you can't even get on target because you can't find where you're shooting. Now the way to answer that, and the way to make that shooting consistent and conceivable to do, even when you can see where it's hitting, is you need a very stable platform, and you need good data. And when I talk about good data, I'm not talking about your exact bullet speed that you've measured and you've got a very good extreme spread, and there's a lot of people that do a lot of work at the range, which is all great, and you work very well, and you'll get very good bullet speed data, but it isn't just that makes ballistic algorithms, ballistic applications work really well in the extreme range side of things. You'll find you need to tweak them. You do that with real data, and when I mean real data, I'm not saying that muzzle velocity and a very good extreme spread and a very accurate group at 100 yards or 500 yards isn't very good. But it is not the same as actually finding out how your system, how your setup, how everything operates out at extreme ranges. And I want to touch on a couple of things there. I mentioned data. Our system now, we use this, it doesn't matter, I'm not talking about using our system, but we have a full form filled out with all the data we want on there. So we now sell this product, but this is actually to record all this sort of stuff here to make sure that we've got everything we can consider. It's your weather conditions, your wind conditions, your mid-wind, your long wind, the bits and pieces I was doing with the rifle, any notes I've got on how the rifle was behaving, what I expected data-wise, what I got data-wise. And the reason for this is essentially what can actually happen in shooting, and especially for people who shoot off just a bag and or a bipod that's not set up properly. And obviously I've got lots of videos about how to do all these things properly. But when you are dealing with any issues, and what I mean by that, I'll use the bag as an example. When you're actually squashing a bag with your hand to get your hold on there, as for one shot, it works fine. It's not really a problem. And really, is this, for a one-off shot or two shots in a row, is this any better having an adjustable bag base than that system? No. If you're doing your bag properly, no, it isn't any better. Where it changes and where data is most relevant is not actually getting onto the target. Although it's very important to get there and you need all the right stuff to get there, you obviously see where you miss to, you correct for it, and you shoot there and you hit. Done. So as long as you can see your first shot or see a shot and adjust from that, well, you'll get there anyway. The trick is essentially that you want the data is important really for your long term is what you end up with. So if you end up where you've got a problem going on, where your bipod's on an angle and it's kicking a little bit to the side or lifting a little bit up, where you're getting a little bit of muzzle rise, or you're getting, like I said, I spoke about the bag, quite commonly when you find you've got it where your bag isn't fully settled, and you're squeezing it or you're holding it up to get it onto that side of things, if you look at your footage on what's actually happening, you'll realise that what actually happens is the gun rocks. It actually tilts a little bit every shot. Now, it's only a little bit, but what that'll actually do, and you'll still get on target, I'm not saying you won't, but what will actually happen is that your bullet drop, or where your actual impact is, will be a little bit high because of that. So in the long term, that data you just recorded, let's say, now this shot here is extreme range, I'm using approximately 160 minutes of elevation. If I have some squish going on where I'm actually, the gun is actually rocking a little piece, then it's only a tiny bit that adjusts, but you can see 1 to 2 to 5 MOA of change in the fact that you had to lower your point of aim because you were getting a raised point of impact. So, okay, you still got on, you still got it done, and if you did it completely reliably, of course, that little bit of movement, it changed a little bit, you'll find you'll get some stringing, you'll find that it's not quite consistent. But let's say you've got that perfect, you're shooting perfectly. What still goes on is because you had that little bit of squish because your setup wasn't perfect, is that your data you record is 5 MOA out. So then, when you go to shoot next time, you've got that much correction. Now 5 MOA isn't that much, but it's still a fair bit. Out at that sort of range, you're talking, what's the mass? You're talking 12 feet or thereabouts of missing. So what that means is that can also be to the left or to the right, and what I'm talking about there is essentially, yes, you want your gun set up very well, and you want it to shoot super accurately, but you want to make sure you've got everything as settled as possible. This is a design I came up with, which is what we sell, which is our bag base, which is a system to essentially, main thing, we've got left and right adjustment on this system, but which helps a little bit. It's just basically makes it a little bit nicer to use. The real thing is this adjustment in the elevation. What it does, yes, there's all sorts of other features you can use it for. It's nice to use, you can bore sight with it, you can do all sorts of bits and pieces. It makes it a little bit easier. The big deal that it makes, and the thing that I've found and discovered, is that essentially I get, as you see I've been shooting, that bag now is fully compressed. It's not changing, it's sitting there. To adjust it, I'm not squishing it and settling the bag, I'm simply adjusting the rear for it. Now what that does, essentially, means that every shot is the gun's behaving exactly the same. So obviously your shooter form and all that side of things has to be completely consistent as well, and this is all part of what I'm talking about. But and whether your muzzle brake or the weight of your gun or the way your bipods operate, all that sort of stuff has to be in line as well. This is a feature I've found that is actually a big help to us. Doesn't actually make us more accurate on the single shot. You know, we've gone and tested, you know, that's not about that. It's about, as much as anything, recording data. And that's what I'm really trying to get to here, is that your data side of things is, it's important to get you on target, but it's actually more important what you take from your shoot. When you're out shooting, what you take away from that, you want to be consistent. So to get good data, you need your rifle, you need everything to behave very, very well. And you'll see when I talk about adjusting these apps and tweaking them, I change muzzle velocities from my recorded muzzle velocity to something that actually suits this bullet, this setup at extreme ranges. And I do that, I record it all the time, but I do that in bouncing back and forwards across my data. I have recorded data, so I'll have, whether it's 2 shoots or it's 100 shoots with that rifle at ranges from 1,000 to 3,000, different weathers, different barometric pressures, different bits and pieces, all the weather recorded, and then I'm always bouncing those. I'll rerun that data back through the app and see what it is, and I'll tweak it, and I'll get to the point where I find a combination that suits all those different conditions, and then I'm pretty confident I'm in the right place. And that is why, with rifles that I've shot a lot, I can be within 1 MOA on my first pull. I can get on target. You know, sometimes reading conditions is a big deal here. Reading the wind, absolutely. You know, we are no experts at that. We try to be, but it's something that changes. The likes of something like Coriolis, which people ask about. Listen, it matters, but in truth, in most instances, I can't even verify that Coriolis affected the shot. I factor it in. I do the data to factor it in. Where Coriolis is more relevant to me is afterwards. So that then that is part of the equation that I put there. So then my long-term data, my long-term working out what's going on, is I'm always using that Coriolis, and whether it's at this shot, we're in 2 minutes of elevation, extra elevation needed for the Coriolis. So I've allowed for it and I'm trying to get on target, but like I said, what's more important to me is that it is recorded with the Coriolis in there, so then I know when I'm shooting in the opposite direction that I'm then allowing for that. So then that gets to where I'm actually working out a bullet speed, making my app work as well as it can. But it really comes from good data recording and a very stable system. I use my adjustable bag base as to try and essentially get full control, make my bag as consistent as possible. So I essentially, and I've actually watched it, even shooting on little calibers, which quite surprises me. The little 17 Hornet. Just go out and just shoot off a bag, and just by doing the squeeze side of things it seems to work, but in actual fact you find there's a little bit of compression in there, and you'll see this gun doing this. They actually, if you watch them, they'll actually rock just a little bit, rocking back, which of course is the nature of having a fulcrum up here and the thing trying to push back. It naturally wants to push back on this buttstock. So just something I wanted to go through. It's something that I've found super relevant, and it is probably one of the secrets in truth about how to get them to shoot really well at extreme long range. Is essentially, obviously, good shooter form, very good loads, very good rifle, but data and the couple of tricks for us is certainly the way we record our data, the amount we use our data, the way we modify the apps according to our data, and our bag control is something that really does help with this extreme shooting. Here we are on target. There's our 2 hits. 7mm did quite well out here. There's our range.
2763 yards. Hi guys, Sam here. For folks that are interested in our products that you will have seen in our videos, these are all products that Mark has designed through our experience in ELR shooting. We manufacture them here ourselves. The likes of our adjustable bag bases, bag riders, bipod systems, muzzle brakes, shot data recording sets, and even our great fun little 22 long rifle target. These are all available in our web store, the links to which are below this video, along with our contact information. And guys, we work hard at putting these videos together, so we appreciate all the help we can get. For those of you who haven't subscribed, don't forget and hit the bell so you get notifications of when our videos come out. It would be awesome to get some financial support. So for those of you who can, you can purchase support bits on our web store, which help us bring these videos to you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.